morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Crabby Morning podcast. I'm Kayla, and I'm joined with
Dylan,
Liam,
John.
And today we have two very special guest stars,
Brandy.
Brianna.
and we're going to be talking about cooking. So,
Why are we talking about cooking?
getting
Because
there.
our special guest.
Randy
Yes.
is a manager at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So, Randy, what got you into the culinary business?
Honestly, I started working just as a way to make money while I was in college and high school. There was no specific reason for going into restaurants.
Did you cook?
So
for
it wasn't
yourself?
like a passion; it was just more as a way to just make money on the side.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. I mean, I enjoyed cooking, but I didn't go, like, my first job was at Pizza Hut.
Okay.
So I didn't go work at Pizza Hut because I wanted to be a great chef.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make some money.
Okay. Right.
What did you cook for yourself in college? Because everyone says that they just ate ramen noodles for.
I definitely ate a lot of ramen noodles in college, for sure. But we did a lot of meals,
Yeah.
kind of as a group of friends too.
So you cook for your roommates.
Yeah, roommates, people who lived in the apartment next door, friends that would come over. We would cook fairly often, actually, especially because in college I wasn't working full time, so I had a lot more time at home, which makes cooking more enjoyable when you don't do it for a living.
Yes.
So like one time we made a boneless pork loin, and we stuffed it with 3 different types of apples, 2 different types of onions. We put feta cheese inside it, and then we rubbed it in ground coffee
Oh,
and a bunch of different seasonings. Back then I didn't really measure anything.
you just kind of.
I just kind of eyeballed and started dumping stuff on and hoped that it worked out for the best. A lot of times it didn't.
Yeah.
But this one did, and we wrapped it in bacon
Okay.
to hold it together, and then we put bamboo sticks between each thick slab of bacon,
Okay.
and we just roasted it for like 3.5 hours. And it actually was really cool because we put a barbecue sauce over it that combined with the juice from the pork and the juice from the apples in the bottom of the pan, and made this like really good, thick, unexpected like sweet sauce at the bottom
Okay.
that we wound up glazing over top of it.
That's making me hungry.
Yeah, so it was really good. That's honestly like one of the best dishes I've ever made. It's also one of the luckiest dishes I ever made because I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. But it came out good.
have you always had like a huge passion for cooking, or was that something that kind of came up as you were doing these jobs for money?
No, honestly, even now I've never had a like huge passion for cooking. But I think it's because it's what I do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been working in kitchens for my entire life, but over the last 10 years, 50 plus hours a week at the same restaurant, more or less. So it's not like a creative, evolving menu. You're just doing the same menu over and over again. So that kind of takes some of the passion away from it. Because when I get home from work, and you can ask Brianna, the last thing I want to do when I get off work is cook a meal for myself. Because I've been cooking for usually 13, 14 hours that day.
Wow.
You know? But I do enjoy cooking in environments like this where it's with family and like a group of friends. When I don't have to work the next day, cookouts, family gatherings, stuff like that, that's enjoyable for me. But getting off work and have to come home and create like a complex meal, I don't really enjoy doing that.
I would say that I'm pretty much the same way because I tried it out, the restaurant business, and I did not enjoy it. In high school, I took 2 years of culinary class, and on the second year there was a summer class. I did that for 2 weeks. I was working at like a clubhouse golfing place. I hated it. And then I found out that it was more like a hobby, just to cook for friends and family.
Yeah, and I'd say, that's a great point. And to one of the points you made before you turned the podcast on, if you really want to make, to me, if somebody wants to enjoy cooking, don't go get a job at a restaurant. Seriously. And I know that kind of sounds counterintuitive, but if somebody goes and works at a restaurant that has a static menu and it becomes day by day by day monotonous, just repetition, and you kind of lose the joy of cooking. Now, if you go work for a restaurant that allows you to be creative, that has an evolving menu, that has a seasonal menu, daily specials, that could probably be more enjoyable. I've only worked at one place like that, Roost Chris Steakhouse. But again, I never had a huge, like, deep burning passion for, like, the culinary arts. I like the fast-paced environment of a kitchen and of a restaurant. I like the challenge of overcoming the flow of the guests in the building. I like working with a large group of people. And I like the restaurant industry because it allows me to be myself. It's not like working in an office or being professional. Being a professional, there's a lot more room for character there. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to say that it's... I'm sorry, go ahead, Caleb.
With your job working at the restaurant where they have the same menu every single day, did you ever, like, I guess on days you felt like cooking yourself a meal, ever try to, like, change it up to make it more exciting?
Yeah, so one thing we did do at my last restaurant is we were a big kitchen, so we had a lot of fresh meat, fresh produce. So we would make our own meals, but we would always make it for the entire staff. That was one thing that was very enjoyable about working there. It was a huge sense of community. So if you made a pot of pasta, spaghetti, you didn't make it for yourself, you made it for the entire staff working that day.
Okay.
Which a lot of times could be 20, 30 plus people. So we made spaghetti there. I've made Alfredo there before. We made marinated meatballs there before. A lot of fajitas.
Oh, dang.
We've made orange chicken there before. Stuffed peppers.
And the guy that makes the soups all the time.
Yeah, we had our meat cutter would make a different soup every Monday. Always on Monday. We did Sunday breakfast. When it was my turn to do Sunday breakfast, because the managers would switch every other Sunday, and we would go down the list of managers. So I made a huge batch of cheesy scrambled eggs. I made French toast. I made bacon, sausage links, and I think some pancakes as well. Yeah, it was really good.
Better than mine, though?
No, they were not better than yours. They were just basic, run-of-the-mill flapjacks. But it was good.
What type? Oh,
Go ahead, Kelly.
what type of meals would you say you're best at making? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
I was just about to ask that.
For me, I'm definitely best on anything that involves a grill. So, like grilled chicken breast, grilled shrimp, grilled kebabs, grilled steak. Anything that can go on a grill,
Okay.
I can cook very well. And then home style cooking, like Southern comfort foods, collard greens, spinach, mac and cheese, green beans, chili, mashed potatoes, things like that.
What is your signature specialty dish?
Honestly, I think the best meal that I make, other than a steak, is my chicken Alfredo. Or any Alfredo, it doesn't matter.
Got some competition, Liam.
Oh yeah, we had made some Alfredo recently, and it was pretty good.
It was good.
It's amazing.
But that's just like one of the first sauces that I ever learned how to make. So it's kind of my go-to.
Going back to what you were talking about with how, like, it can, like, you were saying, like, if you're really passionate about cooking, don't get a restaurant job.
No, don't.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
I could see what you're saying about that, because I feel like that's very, very similar to freelance writers or artists who are really good at or very passionate about what they do, but they're told to make very specific things, and when you're told to do that, it kind of takes away the fun of it, because that's not always what you want to do specifically. Like if you want to cook, you want to cook something that you're very passionate about making, or something that you wanted to try out because you want to branch off into different culinary types of food. So I could definitely see what you're saying about that.
Yeah, for sure, man. And to your point, you know, when you get a, like when I used to hire people into my kitchen, I would tell them at the interview, like, I don't care how much experience you have, I don't care how much skill you have, because we can teach you how to do anything here. The hard part is finding people who can deal with the day-to-day monotony and fast-paced tediousness, stress of working in a busy restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the same to work in like a small mom and pop restaurant where you're doing 8 to 10 checks at a time.
Yeah.
But when you're taking care of a dining room that can sit, 250 plus people, and it's always full, that's tough. So you don't really care how skilled somebody is, you care that they're going to be able to withstand the stress of working that job. It's more like an assembly line, honestly.
So, Randy, you are a manager at a restaurant, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what would you say that is the hardest part about being a manager at a restaurant?
Dealing with all the different staff members
Okay.
and your co-managers and managing those personalities and managing yourself, because you really have to, you can't 100% be yourself, because if you are, sometimes you might rub person A the wrong way, or person D might not like you. You have to be very consistent and straightforward and honest with people.
Right.
Yeah.
You kind of can't joke as much
Yeah.
because anybody, if I tell a joke in this room, you guys are going to perceive it in 5 different ways.
Yeah.
And hopefully somebody doesn't get offended by it, but every once in a while they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't mix well. So definitely dealing with the different personalities
And that's
is
the
the
big
hard part.
Yeah, and that's the big difference between like I guess being someone who is just hired at a restaurant and someone who's a manager. Like you need to, I guess you're more of expected to have like a certain level of professionalism in order to like be expected to keep that restaurant running. So that adds a lot of like extra stress.
It does.
Yeah.
One thing that I found though is, at least for me, I am one of the less professional managers in my position. I'm also one of the younger ones.
Yeah.
But I do that because I know how stressful it is. And for me, I enjoyed my job a hell of a lot more when I stopped taking it so seriously. Not stopped caring about my performance.
Yeah.
But when I came in and allowed myself to joke, when we would maybe say some things that are kind of borderline but funny,
Yeah.
you know, and you create that camaraderie with the people you're working with.
Yeah.
If you can just laugh and have fun at work, it's a hell of a lot more
It
fun.
makes it easier, yeah.
It makes it easier, makes it more enjoyable.
Yes.
And then the shifts go better. But when you come in and it's like iron fist, no joking, we're going to pump out food, that's not fun. Nobody enjoys doing that. And like I explained to you, most kitchens and most restaurants aren't an enjoyable atmosphere for cooking. It's, you have to cook to order. There's time constraints. You have somebody breathing, yelling down your neck to make you cook that one dish 3 minutes faster, even though you know that it won't be done in 3 minutes. And then when it's not, they yell at you again.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Have you ever considered like working in a restaurant overseas, or in, I guess, any you would consider like 5-star restaurants here in the States?
No, I've never considered working at a 5-star restaurant. I don't think I would do that. I'm just not that like type of culinary person, and I'm not skilled enough to work in a 5-star restaurant. I have thought about, it would be cool to work in a restaurant in a country that is predominantly Hispanic, because the most of the kitchens that I've managed are predominantly Hispanic, and it's always kind of been real impressive to me when somebody from like Guatemala can come to America and work in an American restaurant and read an American menu and understand American checks, even though they don't read or speak English. And they perform at a higher level than a lot of Americans do. And I was just thinking, like, how tough that would be to go to, for example, like El Salvador, and work in a kitchen there as an English-speaking person who doesn't read or speak Spanish and expected to be as successful as the people that live there.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a big challenge to undertake.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dylan.
I was gonna say, Randy, I think a while ago, probably like a few years ago, I remember I was in the car with you one time, and I asked you because you're still doing the restaurant business, but you were still doing it then. I was saying, like, I asked you a question. I said, would you ever consider like creating your own restaurant? And then you said no, and I was actually really surprised by that, because like you're very skilled in cooking in that field. But I forgot what you said specifically on
Like,
why
why wouldn't I want to do that?
Yeah.
So, most people, and I think everybody knows this, most people who try to start a restaurant are unsuccessful.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to pour my life savings and my career into something that I am already most likely going to be unsuccessful in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I know how hard it is to run a restaurant that has a huge corporate backing and a headquarters and all the systems and infrastructure in place to make you successful. So I can't imagine how difficult it would be to have to get like the building rights for your restaurant.
Yeah.
To get the permit, to get the licensing, to design the kitchen, to design the dining room, to meet all the compliance issues that you have when you open a restaurant. And then to have to make the menu, to source the food, to find the food you need to create the items on your menu, to formulate the cost of those items, and then come up with pricing on your menu. That is a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning of it.
And
You
they
still
also
have to look at the front of house, and you have to look at inventory.
Getting supplies and stuff from people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just would not want to. No, I wouldn't want to do that. Now something like a food truck or something, not as a full-time job, but as a part-time on the side. That would be, to me, that would be enjoyable, because that would be in the realm of an enjoyable environment to cook in. You know, that's why I don't think working in kitchens is enjoyable for the fact that you're cooking. I enjoy working in kitchens because I enjoy the people that I meet and work with. I enjoy how fast-paced it is. I enjoy getting my ass kicked and still overcoming the stress that you feel at work. And that's something that you can't really understand unless you've done it and been there. That's the enjoyable part for me, not the cooking.
Yeah. So you like the challenge that's part of a restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask, I guess the rest of everyone, what got you into cooking, or you not got, I forgot the word, or what I was going to say, but for me, I guess I'll start. I started cooking when I was like 12 because I was inspired by my dad, who's an amazing chef, and so let's start from the beginning. He doesn't like eating the same thing every day. And so one day when he was in the military, he's like, I'm just going to start cooking. And ever since then, he's been cooking for like almost 30 years. He's made different stuff. He's really good at making curry and grilling. And anytime he puts something on a grill, I'm like, ooh, all right, I'm ready. But yeah, he's a big inspiration of me taking culinary class and cooking.
All right, Dylan, your origin story.
Well,
Wait, I'll do
what?
my origin story.
What is the
Of cooking?
Dylan don't cook.
Cooking. I think once upon a time I was conceived on.
Oh my god.
Anyways, I'm talking about the cooking story. I think that's what Liam was asking.
Yes.
But I'm not sure. I don't really cook that much, to be honest. I think I ate relatively just cereal in a bag as a child, and now I eat cereal in a cup. But I have had a period of time in which I cooked with Liam every week.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. And we cooked a bunch of curries, and it was quite exciting, though I did see how much work it was to make something very nice.
It's
I
worth
think
it,
you
yeah.
have to kind of really like to cook to be able to want to cook. I felt the vibe of wanting to help make it, but I wouldn't like push myself to make it myself. I don't
So
think.
all I have to say is, when we get an apartment together, I'm not going to be the only one cooking. I'm going to force you guys to cook.
Ouch. All right. Well, you're digging your own grave, fella.
Well, I already said that I wanted Liam and Kayla and hopefully you too, Randy, to help me in like learning more dishes to cook, because I know it's a very beneficial skill for me and really help me out in the future. Because I've had dishes from all three of you guys, and they have all been like really really good, and I could tell that you've done it so many times before, that you've practiced on it, you've improved on it, and that you know what works and what doesn't work. For probably not for every dish, but I mean, then again, y'all haven't cooked every single dish that's ever been made.
That is the best part about cooking to me, is experimenting. You know, you just get a little crazy in the kitchen. You're like, oh man, let's throw this in here, let's throw that in there, and sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you want it, but other times you're like, man, I gotta write this down.
That's definitely my cooking style. So my cooking origin story is I grew up with my grandmother, and ever since I was little, since before I could even reach like the stove,
Yeah.
she had a little bench for me, and I would stand on it, and she'd just let me go crazy. She would literally let me dump. She'd show me how to do things right,
Yeah.
but she'd also let me be creative with it and pretty much dump whatever I wanted into the pot and see how it turned out. So till this day, he makes fun of me because he calls me a hurricane in the kitchen. I just pour things together. It's like a mad woman, and somehow it works. And he's like behind me, like cleaning, because
Yeah.
the kitchen manager thing. But for me, I can't. I just have to be creative with it. It doesn't work if I'm not just having fun and enjoying myself.
Kayla, your cooking origin story.
I like this. It's like we're cooking superheroes.
Was conceived on the dawn.
I didn't really start getting into cooking until recently, but I do remember like watching my grandmother cook in the kitchen a lot, because she cooked every single day. She had a family of 5 kids, so she kind of had to cook every day.
Yeah.
So from watching her cook, I kind of have always liked her cooking. So now she's at an age where she really can't cook anymore, so I've kind of like gone through her old recipe book and recreated the dishes she used to make when I was a kid, and I really liked how they would turn out, and I was surprised myself of how good I was able to make it taste, and now similar to how it used to taste when my grandma would make it.
Yeah.
So I kind of just have been mostly cooking old dishes / new dishes I find online, but I do know that I tend to specialize more in like dessert type cooking. So, or baking, I mean.
Want to make those brownies upstairs when we're done?
So let me ask you guys something.
Yeah.
And I'll preface it real quick, just
Okay.
based on the cards that you presented at the beginning of this before we started rolling
Okay.
the audio. You asked what to do to make cooking easier, right?
Yes.
So I could get into specifics and all that. I think the most important thing is you have to enjoy it and to keep it simple. So when you go to a restaurant, you go there with your family or your friends or yourself to sit down and enjoy your meal. That's what food and drink is supposed to be about. Obviously, it's to nourish you, but it's also to bring people together like we did tonight. That was a whole ordeal, and it was fun, and we cleaned up together, and we ate together, and we talked, and we laughed, and that's what I enjoy about cooking. But the people who cook for you at restaurants, that's not the experience they have, because generally they don't get to spend a lot of time with their family because they're cooking for other families Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And they're usually, I know you've probably seen the meme on Facebook of like the 2 cooks sitting down next to each other Christmas Eve, eating on a turned upside down bucket. But that's a real thing. It is. So, and that's why I said earlier I don't enjoy cooking in a kitchen,
Yeah.
but I do enjoy working in a kitchen. I enjoyed cooking the way that like we cooked tonight because that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask each one of y'all, what's one experience or time that you can remember in your life over food, whether it was like a Thanksgiving meal that you had or an anniversary dinner that you had or a meal you made with a really good friend of yours. Just one specific time, and if you can remember the meal, that's great.
I do. I have
Go
one.
ahead.
It was I was at John's house and I cooked for his family because his mother had knee surgery recently, or a while ago, I should say. And I made a chicken coconut curry, which turned out to be amazing. And we all just laughed, had a good time, and then just enjoyed ourselves.
There you go.
It was a special moment.
I would say last winter or fall, I went to go live with my grandma, who always would cook for my family. However, in the midway through my trip, she fell, and then we were making all this amazing food, and midway through the trip, then she fell and she couldn't walk anymore, so she couldn't go all the way to the kitchen, so it was kind of my responsibility to cook. So I was like getting recipes from her bed and then running back to the kitchen. It was crazy, and it didn't happen. It didn't work out the same. There were a lot of mess ups, but I think that it was pretty cool to, like Kayla said, to recreate old recipes that you've tasted, and yes, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can either of you think of an experience?
It's a hard question. I guess the only thing that's really like coming to my mind is probably Liam making me a dish for my birthday, and that was actually the same dish that we just made.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was fettuccine alfredo. Because I've always
Southern
loved Alfredos.
Cajun Alfredo.
Yeah. That was really good. I also wanted to note the peach pie that you made from actual peaches from a local orchard.
Oh yeah, the homemade peach blackberry pie I made.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good.
Or the black bean brownies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want to taste those.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make a batch and have you guys try some because
I
they
actually
taste
I gotta
just like
taste it
brownie.
before I believe it. That sounds too crazy to be real.
I have the recipe on my phone. We
Black
can make it.
bean brown.
My aunt is probably.
They make burgers out of black beans now. Probably
They
make
do.
brownie out of them.
Yeah.
Make anything out of black beans, these vegans.
What about you, Kayla? Do you have a specific memory involving food?
When my accident turned into a success unintentionally. So what I mean by that is I was trying to recreate a recipe I saw on a TV show, like an anime. So it was
Alright.
it was a chicken recipe, but I had knocked over something into the chicken and I thought it was ruined. But how I was able to fix it was by dumping honey into it, and I created honey chicken. Dylan's had it.
Oh yeah, I've heard about your honey chicken before.
Oh, that is really good. I mean, the honey really like complements it.
Yeah.
I think, but honestly, I'm glad that was made by accident because I got to try such a good dish that I would have never thought of beforehand.
Yeah, sometimes the best dishes are accidents, like au jus, for example. Au jus was created when some guy at a sandwich bar dropped a piece of his meat in the meat dripping pan at like the old school soda bars.
Okay.
And he said, "Hey, no, I'll take it. Just give it right back to me." And that's where au jus dipping sauce came from.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's because it's literally just beef stock cooked, with celery and carrots and onions, garlic, whatever. But mostly just beef stock. That's it. Yeah. And what about you, Brie?
So, our date book. So, we have this thing called the Adventure Book. And
Is it from Up?
Hmm?
Is it from Up?
no, it's just a book we bought online, and it's called the Adventure Book, and it has all these different dates that you can do. You basically scratch off, and whatever the date is, you have to do. So the one we picked, the one we've had time to do, it was called Broke College Student, and we had to go to the store and spend
$10.
$10 to make ramen.
Fancy ramen.
Fancy
noodles.
ramen.
Oh, okay.
And so we went to the grocery store, and it was hard because neither one of us can focus in the grocery store, but somehow we spent $10 on the ramen stuff. And we made ramen, and it was honestly the best ramen I've ever had in my life. Just like packaged ramen.
Yeah, it was banging.
But we added chicken, we added some green onions,
Tahini sauce.
some tahini sauce, added some things that we didn't even mean to add, and it turned out amazing. But honestly, it was just the fact that we were being in the kitchen, being goofy and silly together, and just, you know, making ramen, which is like the most basic meal. So that was my favorite recent cooking memory.
But that's what's cool though. That's like what Randy was talking about before. Is like it's like you said, it's not about, you know, making the food for the person. It's about the interactions that you have at those restaurants with either friends or family. And I think that's one of the most important things about that industry, or like cooking in general. I wanted to thank you guys so much for y'all's discussions. Y'all have made a lot of really good points. I think I'm going to finish off the podcast with the question of the day. And the question of the day is going to be, how does cooking impact your life and the people around you? And what is a dish that you would recommend to aspiring chefs? Thank you guys so much. As always, like and subscribe, and have a crabby morning.
Woohoo!